All right, I'm an accountant, and this technique was really interesting to me. As I was reading all this and doing all of this research, I thought, all right, this is cool. Now I can remember like lists of things, and I can remember steps, for tests, or I'm not in school anymore, I've graduated and all that, but whatever I've got to do, I can remember that. But what about numbers? Numbers seem like this really kind of difficult thing to remember, and the reason why, as I was doing the research again, they all said that brains cannot remember kind of abstract concepts, things like feelings or numbers. There's really no meaning to any of these things. So you need to somehow make those numbers into something concrete, something that your brain can remember. So if you could somehow convert a group of numbers into a guitar or a sailboat, easier to remember. But how do you do that? Well, over the years, man has essentially figured out the best way to do that is to take the numbers from 0 to 9 and assign a phonetic sound to them. So each number has a sound. Now, I'm going to go through these in just a second with you, and this is one of the things you're going to have to memorize. It's just going to take a minute. I'll teach you a trick on how to do it, but it's going to take just a minute to do. But it's worth it in the end. So the first number, 0, has the sounds of either S, C, or Z, okay? Number 1, and again, I'll teach you a trick in just a minute, but the number 1 has the sound of either T, as in tomboy, or D, as in dog. 2, the number 2 has the sound of N. Number 3 has the sound of M, as in mouse. Number 4 has the sound of R, as in rowboat. 5 has the sound of L, as in lollipop. 6 has several sounds. It's either ch, as in chug, sh, as in ship, or J, as in jolly, okay? 7 has three sounds as well, either G, as in ground, K, as in kept or key, and C, as in collar. All right, and you'll notice that there's a couple different C's. That's because some C's have a soft C and others have a hard C, like K. The C that is assigned to the number 7 is a hard K, like collar. Okay, and number 8 has 2 sounds, either F as in face or V as in volume. And 9 has 2 sounds, either P as in peanut or B as in butter, okay? So here's how you remember all of that, and I'll show you why that's important in just a minute. But I want you to imagine your body, and you can literally assign these numbers to parts of your body, okay? Now I want you to think of the bottom of your foot or the sole of your foot for 0. First of all, the number 0 can look like the bottom of a foot, okay? And so I want you to imagine that. And I want you to remember S. S is the main phonetic sound that's assigned to 0. And S will remind you of sole, the sole of your foot, because sole starts with S, okay? Now you're going to have to remember the soft C and the Z, and you can figure out a way to do that. But for the most part, S is really where that phonetic sound is. The next one, number 1, is T and D. So now we want to move up your body. So when you leave the sole of your foot, now you're going to go to your toes, okay? Toes start with D, or with T. Anyway, they start with T, and you'll need to remember D. It's just memorize it, guys. But you can at least remember T there. Now, as you move up to number 2, you're going to get into your knees, and the word knee gives you the N sound, n for knee, okay? And so that's how you remember that. When you get to 3, that's your leg muscles, your thigh muscle, and you'll remember that 3 is M, so just remember that kind of that quad muscle, M for muscle. Next, as we move up your body, we're going to go to your butt or your rear end, okay? And 4 is your rear end, and 4 is the phonetic sound of R, so R for rear end, okay? As you move further up your body, you've got 5, that's the sides of your body or your love handles. And 5, the phonetic sound there is L. So L for love handles, okay? 6, as we move higher up the body, is sh, ch, or j. So I just remember ch as in chest, sh as in shoulders, or j as in joints, okay? So ch, sh, j, all right? It looks kind of funny doing that on the camera. Anyway, the next one up is 7. Now I have a unique way of remembering this because when I was in 7th grade, actually, we were playing tag football at recess, and I actually got tackled. It was supposed to be tag football, but the kid was a brute. He literally grabbed my legs, and I fell over, hit the ground, and I snapped my collarbone. It was a mess. Now you know a little bit about me. I'm sorry you had to go through that. But 7 is a G, a K, and a C. Those are all hard sounds. G, K, and K. All right? So for me, I remember that by the acronym GKC, which is ground kills collarbone, because it snapped mine in half, right? That's just how I remember mine. You can have an image of me falling over and busting my collarbone, or you can come up with your own. But that's 7 for me, and I remember it because it's a straight line over like my collarbones, and then down, right? 7. The next one as we move up is 8. Now your face is 8, okay? So 8 has 2 sounds, 2 phonetic sounds, F and V. So F for face, okay? And I always picture the Joker on Batman when he smiles and his eyebrows go up, you know, and he's got that kind of crazy smile going on. It creates this V shape in his face. So that's the second sound, V. So F for face and V for the Joker and the face that he makes. Number 9 goes up to the top of your head, and that's B and P. So I imagine the pupil in my eyes and then the brain, okay? So P and B. That's how you can remember most of it. Now I know there are a few things in there you're just gonna have to memorize, but you know, that's just how it is. Once you get those memorized, you can pretty much remember a lot of different numbers. In the blog post, I gave you an example of a number, and honestly, I can't remember what it is right now, but I do remember the association. So here's how it works. You take whatever the number is, and you literally spell out the number with the sounds. Now you'll notice that not all of the letters have been assigned to the numbers. Essentially, all of the vowels are not assigned to numbers, and that's because we need those vowels to place randomly throughout all of these consonants so that we can create a word. There are a few other consonants that aren't included either, like Q, but you know, we don't use those very often, so whatever. And you can pretty much get past those with most of the phonetic sounds. So in this example, I created a big word in the blog, or big number in the blog post, and I think it was 7 digits long, I can't remember. And we went through and we assigned each of the numbers to the letters, and we came up with a phrase called dark fur chap, kind of like the chaps that a cowboy would wear, but they're made of fur, and it's a dark fur, okay? So I'm picturing these really dark furry chaps on a cowboy. Well, to recall that number, all I have to do is go through the word. So D is related to my toes, that's number 1, because T or D. So I know that D in dark fur chaps stands for the number 1. The next letter over is A. A is a vowel, so we're going to skip it because it's just helping us make the word. R is the next letter. R is represented by my rear end, which is number 4, so that's a 4. So we have 1 and 4 in our number. K is the next letter. Well, that reminds me of ground kills collarbone. That's a 7, okay, because it's a K. So 147 is the number so far. We go to our next word, which is fur, F. Now F, again, is related to number 8, which is our face, the Joker face, right? Either a V or an F. So the next number is an 8. U is a vowel, so we get to skip that one. R is the next letter for fur. Again, that's number 4, that's my rear end. So 4, so 147, 84 is where we're at. Now we go to a new word, which is chap, not chaps, plural, but just chap, singular. So ch is represented by 6. Remember, chest, shoulders, joint, ch, sh, j. So ch is 6. And then A is the next letter. Well, that's a vowel, so we get to skip it. Then we've got P, which is number 9 for either my brain or my pupils. So 9. So if I get this, if I can remember this without writing it down, it's 1478469. I believe that's right. So at any rate, you can really pull this number out of this word, and now you've got it. And the interesting thing is that's a 7-digit number, so that could represent a phone number. If you've got 15 phone numbers that you could remember, you could literally convert those numbers into these random words, make that image, or that word really interesting, and place it in the memory palace. And as you move through your house, you could put all of these images through, and you could easily remember 15, 20, 30, even 100 or 1,000 phone numbers, as long as your memory palace was big enough. So that's the quick and simple way to remember numbers. There are other methods, more advanced methods, but for purposes of this blog, that's a great way to do it. That's called the major system, and we'll see you in technique number 3. Thanks, guys. Or I think that's 4 we're going on to next. See ya.